also want to wish you good morning, and I'm going to take a little break from our normal order. I want to talk a little bit about the beautiful statue of Master that's on the altar. This I want to share about the origin of it. It usually resides at Crystal Hermitage, where Swami lived, in the dome there on the altar. But this was created by a very well-known and respected Italian artist, Sandro de Versace, and he was also a good friend of Swamiji's. He lived near Assisi, his home and studio were there, and he has pieces in the Vatican and many at La Verna, and many very sacred places throughout Italy. But we were visiting Swami in Italy when Sandro was working on this, and first he does it in clay by hand, and then he'll make a mold, and that from which he casts statues. And so Sandro called Swami to come and look at it. He thought he would, I'll get out of the way so you can all see. He thought it was done, and Swami went and looked at it, and he said, "It's very good, but there's two things that need correcting." He said, "The eyes are need to be relaxed a little more." And Sandro just touched it a little bit. And then he said, "And the mouth is a little bit judgmental." So Sandro took a little piece of clay about the size of a rice grain and kind of put it on there. And then Swami said, "Perfect." And so that's the origin of that wonderful piece that really is filled with Master's presence. And today, March 8th, is sort of the gap between Master's Mahasamadhi, and then tomorrow is Sri Yukteswar, his guru's Mahasamadhi. So it's kind of a bridge of light between Sri Yukteswar, most of us know, died years before Master, but it was on this date. But so it's nice tomorrow we'll celebrate that, but it's nice to enjoy the liberation from this world of these two great souls. So we have when we read the reading for today, Dogmatism versus Common Sense, it seems a little abstruse. I've read it many times, and it's a little intellectual, perhaps, but really what Swami is saying, and I think the quote from the Gita sums it all up, is that as we advance spiritually, what we really feel is not of the mind or of dogma, but it's of intuitive experience. And with that in mind, I want to read a beautiful passage from Whispers from Eternity. This is called Demand for the Realization of God's Presence. O Divine Father, Thou art just behind my prayer. Why dost Thou seem so far away? Thou dost tremble in my feelings. Thy presence glimmers through the veil of my thoughts. Yet dost Thou seem so far away? Father, come, remove Thy veil. Come, Father, come. Hear the voice of my prayer. I want to know Thee, to talk to Thee, to hear Thee speak to me. I want to pray to Thee and know that Thou dost hear my prayer. Show me the way that leads to Thee. And so what is the way that leads to God? We have this sort of progression. First it's dogmatism, and this is sort of blind belief. And it's how most religion, unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, the time of form, the age of form, how it expresses ourselves. This is what you should believe, and this is the truth, and this is what you have to do to be spiritual. And last summer, a number of us went on a pilgrimage to Spain, and we visited the holy places associated with the great saints, Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross. And these were tremendous, they were yogis, they experienced God directly, But at the time, it was Middle Ages, and the church was so dogmatic at that time that they were not only questioned by the Inquisition and told to forget this. You think you're experiencing God? You can't experience God. Oh, he's up on the altar and he's high in heaven. You can't feel him. And not only condemning them, but poor St. John of the Cross was imprisoned and tortured and beaten every day. That's the Middle Ages. That's where blind dogmatism. So we're moving out of that. And Master says that won't get you to God, just being kind of doing it repetitively. But he said, use common sense. That doesn't make any sense that I can't feel God within myself. And think for yourself. I think none of us would be here if we didn't question the world around us. I know when I came to Ananda from a traditional middle-class background, my poor parents, they were just distraught. Oh, you're throwing your life away and so forth. But I knew what their life did not make sense to me. It was a good life. They were wonderful people, but it just wasn't my life. And I couldn't live the life they wanted me to live. So I had to use my common sense and say, well, what feels right to me? And this is something we all have to do. We have to find the truth within ourselves. There's that beautiful passage in St. Matthew where Christ says to the disciples, I believe it's on the Mount of Transfiguration, but I'm not positive. But Christ says, asked the disciples, who do men say I am? And they say, well, some say you were Elias, and some say you were Jeremiah, or one of the old prophets. And then Christ looks at them more deeply and he said, who do you say I am? And that's when Peter said, you are the living Son of God. And Christ said, blessed are you, Peter, because you have understood, and you are the rock, and upon you I will build my church. And of course, Master explains that, what it means, that you have the rock of true intuitive understanding, and on that, not on you as a person, on intuitive understanding I will build my church. And that's what Master came. Master called his mission the second coming of Christ. He wasn't saying he was Christ, although when someone asked him if he had the Jesus, he said, what difference would it make? Essentially, he was saying, when you're a son of God, we're all on that same level. And so for what Master brought to us, he said, the time for knowing God has come. And what he was bringing to us were the ability to perceive truth intuitively for ourselves. And that's why it says in that reading that it isn't just that Master coaxed them, urged them to go beyond mere common sense, but to perceive intuitively. And that's a different level of experience. But we all go through that progression, don't we? We've done it in many lifetimes. And finally we reach the point where we've evolved enough where we can draw a guru like Yogananda Ji, who can give us both the techniques that help us to develop our own intuitive perception, but also the grace to awaken it within us. And as Ananda moves forward over this global, wonderful work, Swami Kriyananda founded it, 1969, founded Ananda Village, but he was such a marvelous disciple of our Guru in the sense that he never told us, you should think that, don't you think this is, I'm right, I was with Master, you listen to me. He would always try to draw the truth out of us, draw our own intuitive perception. And in going forward, all of us need to do that. We need to, well, this is what Swami always said. Yes, we have to hold that in our heart, but let people come to it. Let them grow into it by their own understanding. And that's how we find God, through accepting that I have the potential, I have the capacity within myself to know God. I remember, I'll tell a little story that will embarrass Haridas. I wasn't going to say your name, but it showed how Swami worked with us and how he always tried to draw out our own intuitive understanding. This was Haridas had been here at Ananda maybe a year, very new, and he was young. I don't think he was 20 years old yet. And Swami was going to give a big program down in Los Angeles, where Haridas was from. And Swami asked him, can you go and set up some media interview, radio or TV, whatever you can get, to promote my talk that I'm going to give? And Haridas was always Mr. I will do it. He went, and he was able to get a interview, or a meeting, I should say, with the man who had the largest afternoon talk show on LA television. And he said, well, my teacher, Swami Kriyananda, is giving a lecture. And Haridas just was himself. And the man, this big TV personality, said, I don't want that, Swami. I want you on my show. And totally aghast, Hari came back to Swami. He said, Swami, he said he doesn't want you to me. So what would an ordinary spiritual leader said? Well, then let's forget that. I mean, I'm the important one. Swami said, well, if he wants you, then you go and you do the interview. And Hari was terrified, but he did it. And then the man at one point asked him on public television, big show, he said, what is this bangle? What is this bracelet you wear on your arm? And Hari said, my mind just went blank. And I didn't know what to say. And then intuitively I just said, it reminds me of God. And when Hari came back and told Swami that, he said, oh, Swami, I didn't give a good answer, and da-da-da. Swami said, that was the perfect answer, because it came from your own heart. And so the way to God is not through dogmatism. It's not even through common sense, but it's the ability to live in God, with God in the moment, and to realize that the doors of perception can open at any moment. They're always there. And we just need to go deep in them, deeper and deeper. A friend of mine, and who I won't say his name, but he lives here, and he told me, it's not Haridas, he told me, he's been a long, long time devotee, lived here for decades, but he said, I'm rereading the autobiography of a yogi now, for who knows how many times he's read it. And so often, when one rereads it, having read it before, this happens to me often. I'll come to a part and I thought, that wasn't in the book before. This must be a different edition. And you think, what are you thinking? It's the only one you've got. It's the one that you just didn't see it. But my friend said, I'd been rereading the autobiography, and this really touched me when he said it. I'm not looking at stories and, oh, I didn't recall that. He said, I'm just trying to draw the vibration, and with every word be in the vibration. And that's what we need to do, just to go deeper and deeper in our meditation, in our service, in our reading the great works that have been given to us, just to try to vibrate with God's presence. And I found this wonderful quote from Master. It's very brief. I'll read it. It was in the original introduction to Whispers from Eternity, which he called his book of prayer demands. And this was how he was saying how to activate these prayer demands. The flame of, Master writes, the flame of inspiration is hidden within the lines of the prayer demands in this book. But since they are presented through the mute medium of printer's ink, paper, and intellectual meanings, One must use his own intuition and devotion to bring forth their inner illumining flame. By the Christ command of your deep intuitional perception, resurrect the inmost substance of words from the sepulcher of hollow intellectual concepts. And that's how we need to read the autobiography, any book of deep spiritual power, the Bible, any of it, just to go beyond the words on the printed page, but try to feel intuitively what truth is being conveyed here. There's a beautiful story from the life of St. Francis, who Master called his patron saint, and many connections. It's a beautiful association between Master and St. Francis. But St. Francis, as we know, was a poor beggar. All he had were the ragged robes he wore, no shoes. He had his little begging bowl. And at this time, he had a copy of the Bible, which he would read by candlelight, every night. And it was his most prized possession. And one day in his wanderings, he saw this old beggar woman weeping by the wayside. And she said, "Oh, sir, please give me something. I've had nothing to eat for so long. I'm so old, I can't even go to the town anymore." And he looked at her. All he had was his Bible. And he said, "Well, all right." And he gave her the Bible. And he said, "You can sell this and get some money for food." And then that night he went back to his little cave where he was staying in the area, and he wept because he said, "Dear Lord, I gave away your word. That was all I had." But then Christ appeared to him and said, "Francis, you don't need the printed page anymore. My living words are with you all the time." And that's the goal that we should have. If we have a question, not to put down searching on the internet, but if you have a question, ask in your heart, "Master, what's the answer? How do I know what the truth is? What should I do? What should I think? How should I behave? How can I serve? How can I help this person? How can I go deeper in meditation? How can I find thee?" Search within your own self. And the more we begin that process, the more the dialogue begins, till there isn't ever a moment where you're not feeling inner guidance. You're not feeling you know how to behave. You know what the right thing is to do. You know how to overcome that challenge. And so God gives us the ability to understand Him intuitively, but we need to develop it. That's the whole spiritual path. All we need to do, Master's definition of self-realization. Self-realization is the knowing in all parts of body, mind, and soul that we are now in the possession of the kingdom of God. We don't have to wait for it to come. All we need to do is to improve our knowing. Improve our knowing, improve our intuitive perception. And once we do that, the whole world becomes a place of wonder. It was, being with Swami Kriyananda was a magic experience because there wasn't anything that wasn't filled with wonder and beauty for him. The least little flower, least little bird. And the great saints, you read about their lives, and they perceive God's presence everywhere. There's a beautiful story from the life of Ananda Village, the great woman saint of India, who Jyotish had the great blessing of meeting and being in her presence and asking her questions. And when he went, he went with Swamiji and two others. And it was in the early days of Ananda, and everybody gave him to have Ma bless their malas and their, and so when they got to Ma, there's this big pile of things, and she said, "Why do you bring these things to me to bless? God's blessings are always there." But we didn't understand that so much at the time. But there's the story of Ma had a young disciple. He's wrote the story in a book about her life. He was very young at the time, and Ma was always traveling throughout India, just spreading the light of Divine Mother of God. And at one point, this young disciple was traveling with her, and he thought, she's so restless. She never can be in one place for more than one day. What's wrong with her? And she can't sit still. And then Ma said, let's go and they would walk from place to place, you know. And she said, she told this young man and a few others, let's go to this certain place in India, in a remote section. So they traveled there. And she said, now let's have a picnic. So they got all the food together and they sat by, it was near a beautiful lake. And they were sitting there and they were just about to eat when Ma said, time to go. And he thought, oh my God, we can't even eat the picnic, here we are. But she and you know, she could tell his thoughts. She said, if you want to stay, that's fine, I'm going. You know, but they all went and followed her. And then they got to a little path in the forest, and this little bird, baby bird, fell out of the nest and fell on the ground. And there was a little boy with them, and she said to the little boy, go get the little bird and bring it to me. So he brought this little bird, held it up to Ma, and the little bird flapped its little wings and then died. And Ma said, the reason we came to this place, because I knew that little bird was going to die and wanted to feel a greater presence. And so that's why we came, and I blessed its little soul, and now it's free. So it's just the awareness of God's presence in everything, and this can be ours, bit by bit, if we believe in it, and if we practice, and if we work at it. It doesn't come automatically. The journey from ego to God consciousness is not an easy journey. It's a razor's edge. You can be sitting in meditation and feeling very calm, and all of a sudden the thought comes, I'm doing a good job of meditating. Who's saying that? It's not your soul, it's the ego. What happens to me a lot, because I like to remember things, is I'll be meditating and all of a sudden I thought, what's the name of that actress that was in that movie? And I think, what does it matter? But it keeps coming and coming, and finally it says, okay, ego, just relax. I'll get back to you later. But just that journey from ego awareness to intuitive superconsciousness, it's not an easy journey, but it's doable. That's what Master tells us. The time for knowing God has come. And we have to keep at it, believe, have faith, and just like all the other great ones that came before us, we will walk in that path. And Master said, he said, no one goes home from this path empty-handed. Everyone will get something to the extent that they make the effort. And we need to make the effort to go deep, to go beyond where we are right now. One little kind of challenge for all of us, never be complacent. Never think, I'm doing it, it's good enough. My level of awareness is good enough. Until you know God, the challenge still lies before you. So you keep trying and keep trying. And then Master promised, those who keep going to the end, I, Master said, or one of the other of our line of gurus, will personally usher them into the higher planes of existence. So hope, faith, strength, commitment, belief, an intuitive understanding of where we are going and how to get there. It's all before us. We just have to walk the path. No matter what obstacles come in the way, no matter what happens that we think, I'm not good enough, I can't go forward, whatever, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and one day that door opens, and you look back and you say, I was always here, I just didn't see it. It just was, it was clouded before me, but this perception that I am one with God has always been a part of us, always. It's there right now. We just have to improve our knowing by going beyond common sense, way beyond dogmatism, to intuitive perception of God's presence within us and all around us. God bless you.
Though fallen deep in sin, by men abandoned, if longing for His grace, truth be your guide, He can redeem you from every evil. Friend, only think of Him. Walk by His side. Though fallen deep in sin, by men abandoned, if longing for His grace, truth be your guide, He can redeem you from every evil. Friend, only think of Him. Walk by His side. He can redeem you from every evil. Friend, only think of Him. Walk by His side. I was caught up in ecstasy. 'Twas a day sanctified by God. There He showed me the truths of heaven, truths which all seeking Him should know. How the soul made to live in freedom can reclaim its eternal right. How the night, born of our delusions, can be fired, blazing with His light.
Thank you to all of our donors for making it possible to share these videos and keep this channel ad-free. If you feel inspired to donate, visit ananda.org/give.